of the mantra, with the help of the breath, let's just take a few moments to center ourselves. Thank you, invoking Mother's presence and grace, and aspiring for more expansion through the passages of the Sunlit path, basically Mother's words, on various topics of a day-to-day life. So special welcome to Jyotsna ji. Jyotsna ji, so good to have you back. It's so nice to see you. Hope you're well. And
Thank
hi. So we'll start. You have anything you want to say anything?
No, I'm happy to come back. So I said I must start with Harmony Circle.
Okay. Okay, good. This is Friday Study Circle. Tomorrow is Harmony Circle, but welcome back. Yes, sorry, Captain. I spoke.
No, welcome back. Good evening.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I will share the screen now. So last week we had started this section on sincerity, vigilance, and willpower. And we had, reflected on that why these three things, sincerity, vigilance, and willpower, they are coupled in this section. So we'll be seeing more of that as we go further. We had taken up the passage of sincerity. It was a small one. We can read it again because some, new, it's like, yeah, just for some recollections. And then today we have to take the passage on perfect sincerity. So if anybody is willing, if they can unmute and please read the passage on sincerity that was taken in last week's session. Thank you.
I'll read that. Sincerity. What is the fundamental virtue to be cultivated in order to prepare for the spiritual life? I have said this many times, but this is an opportunity to repeat it. It is sincerity. A sincerity which must become total and absolute. For sincerity alone is your protection on the spiritual path. If you are not sincere, at the very next step, you are sure to fall and break your head. All kinds of forces, wills, influences entities are there, on the lookout for the least little rift in the sincerity, and they immediately rush in through that rift and begin to throw you into confusion. Therefore, before doing anything, beginning anything, trying anything, be sure first of all that you are not only as sincere as you can be, but have the intention of becoming still more so. For that is your only protection. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Captain. Thank you. It's not I who's saying this. It's not, like how we just over exaggerate things or try to scare one another into following things. But it means something when mother is saying that this is your only protection, right? What is the fundamental virtue to be cultivated? And she says, without a doubt, and she has said it several times, sincerity. We all know this, and yet it's so good to be reminded again and again because we keep forgetting. So if there's any reflection on this, it's welcome. Otherwise, we'll go to the passage of the week. Okay. So now we'll go to the one we have to reflect on today, and it is perfect sincerity. So if anybody is willing, they can read it and then we'll take it in detail.
I can read it.
Okay, so thank you.
Perfect sincerity. Fundamentally, whatever be the path one follows, whether the path of surrender, consecration, knowledge, if one wants it to be perfect, it is always equally difficult, and there is but one way, one only, I know of only one, that is perfect sincerity, but perfect sincerity. Do you know what perfect sincerity is? Never to try to deceive oneself, never let any part of the being try to find out a way of convincing the others, never to explain favorably what one does in order to have an excuse for what one wants to do, never to close one's eyes when something is unpleasant, never to let anything pass telling oneself, that is not important, next time it will be better. Oh, it is very difficult. Just try for 1 hour and you will see how very difficult it is. Only 1 hour to be totally, absolutely sincere, to let nothing pass. That is all one does, all one feels, all one thinks, all one wants is exclusively the divine. I want nothing but the divine. I think of nothing but the divine. I do nothing but what will lead me to the divine. I love nothing but the divine. Try, try, just to see. Try for half an hour. You will see how difficult it is.
Yes, thank you so much. Any reflections are welcome. So I'll go by it line by line, and anytime feel free to please add whatever resonates or if there are any comments or questions. So it says that fundamentally, not it says, sorry, mother says that fundamentally, whatever be the path one follows, whether the path of surrender, consecration, knowledge, if one wants it to be perfect, It is always equally difficult, and there is but one way, one only. I know of only one. That is perfect sincerity, but perfect sincerity. Do you know what perfect sincerity is? Mother asks. And then she answers, never to try to deceive oneself, never let any part of the being try to find out a way of convincing the others, never to explain favorably what one does in order to have an excuse for what one wants to do. Never to close one's eyes when something is unpleasant. Never to let anything pass, telling oneself that is not important. Next time it will be better. I think this is really important and we must spend some time on this. Because when we look at it, when we just begin, I would say when we begin, when somebody says, say, I am my own limits, I am my own wall, I am blinded by my own actions, thoughts, movements, intentions. One doesn't believe that. It doesn't seem possible. And with more mindfulness, sincerity, and of course, grace, we start seeing that yes, 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 I am doing this under that cover, I am hiding this there, I also have now different masks. My masks might have changed, but I'm still wearing the mask. So it's one thing to lie to the world, and it's yet another thing to lie to my own self. And I think one of the first thing that happens when one begins sincerely seeking is one starts realizing just how many lies my life is full of. I say something else, I believe something else, I do something else. What lies am I living? And yet, when we say it like that, it feels hard, it feels wrong, we want to deny it. But like mother says, right, don't show me the smiles, like just paraphrasing, right? Show me what your challenges are, what you're hiding. Show me the dirt, and then it will get transformed. So never try to deceive oneself. Never let any part of the being try to find out a way of convincing the others, the other parts of my own being. Never to explain favorably what one does in order to have an excuse for one wants to do, never to close one's eye when something is unpleasant. And a lot of times I find myself doing some things which I know they're not good for me, or I could be spending that time somewhere else more beautifully or towards, a better aim. And yet when I find myself not doing it, initially I just used to cover up, like it said. And now if I do it, I admit that this is not my best possibility, or I probably shouldn't be doing this. And I just, offer it to mother that I am unable to stop doing it right now. Help me. And I would still be doing that and still be offering. And I feel that really helps me in having more transparency in my life. And I know that now mother knows, right? And she will pull me out or direct me where she wants to direct me. So I think that is the honesty, the sincerity, one of the aspects, that at least knowing what I am covering up, knowing what I am lying is the first step. It's, it doesn't just happen just like that. And it could for some, but for most of us, they are baby steps, baby steps. Yes, any reflections on this part?
Yes. Namaskar, ma'am. So, on when I was going through this paragraph, I see that although I tell myself to follow this, to not convince people, to not make an excuse out of my explanation, I somehow still end up doing it. Like, almost every time, like 9 out of 10 times, it happens. Like the conversation begins with me explaining the things the way they are, and it ends up with me trying to explain it further. And I don't know what the motive is, but somehow I try to over explain things. So how should I approach a conversation next time? Like I remember mother, I tell mother that, this is how I'm going to speak, but somehow I, like somewhere in the middle of the conversation, I lose touch with the mother, and I go into my own zone, and yeah, I lose control. So how should I approach a situation next time, keeping in mind exactly what to omit and what to not?
Yeah, any buddy would want to, from our own life experiences, if we would like to share anything.
When I read this the first time, it was many years ago, I realized that even to try to practice it for even half an hour is a very long time, even for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, if you're in some active conversation or in the process of doing something, it was very difficult. But then I realized with time, following the principles of Mother and Aurobindo, I realized that if you decide to let yourself raw, open, you just, without bothering about who or what is around you, and you just expose yourself open and say, no, I've got to face facts. This is how they are, and I'm going to present them exactly how they are, and I stop. And slowly it comes to you that it's very bitter. You get wrapped by people, you get ridiculed, everything. You will start facing that. And then a stage comes where we learn that that's fine, it's not going to affect us. So that kind of a thick hide where others don't matter beyond a point, I think that's where I learned that I could lay myself open and be able to cover it. That was my personal way of dealing with it. And actually, I began with it in the ashram.
Yeah, thank you. Acharya Prashant says it very forcibly. He says that whenever we are pretending or trying to be somebody that we are not, which we are doing all the time, there is some greed, there, where I think he got disconnected. So I'll just complete it. So he says that if we start asking, what is my greed here? What am I looking for? By doing this, by pretending that, say, I'm wearing something, but for going downstairs, I change my clothes. Why am I doing that? Because I want others to think that I have, better clothes, I'm from a good family, small movements, which we don't even think about. And yet they are reflective of something or the other. So just when we start, kind of just looking, like I think that's why this passage is so beautiful, and especially in the beginning of sincerity, that when we stop deceiving ourselves, right? To stop deceiving ourselves, we have to see Right? How does one not deceive? If one starts knowing more, if one starts understanding more, then one stops deceiving. But if I am not even present to what I am doing, I cannot reach the state that even I know that I am deceiving. So I think if I even can see, like, Jagan was sharing that I see that, I offer it, I start right, and yet I lose it. So that in itself is a first step, a second step, right? That first I know I'm doing it. Secondly, I don't want to do it, I'm offering it. Then I see somewhere in the middle, I lose it. And when I continue, I think with this mindfulness, this offering, this not wanting, this aspiration towards honesty and things, I think it has to come. It has to come. I mean, it can take time, like everything takes time to stop, right? Because things are always in motion. And when we are, operating it a certain way, and when we apply the brakes, it takes time to stop. So just, I would say, continuing with this and trying to connect to find out why do I do that? And sometimes the reasons shock us, right? Like we would at times be even ashamed that I do that, I do this, and yeah.
I'm sorry, my phone switched off. I have to log in from the lab. I may have missed some really good content in the meantime.
No, we do have recordings, Jagan, but basically I was just sharing that lot of times, we do things and because there's some hidden agenda, there's a greed there that I will do this and then I'll get that. I will pretend to be this so others will think, oh, I'm so good, I'm so nice, I'm so kind. So my center of operation is not love, it's not kindness, it's not just, being. It's always a persona, right? Ki this is what I want others to know about me or think about me. So when we are doing it, while we are doing it, if we start seeing why am I doing this, like you said that you start good, right? And then suddenly you lose it. So when you see you have lost it, if you could at that time ask yourself that, but ye main kyun bata raha hu? Yeah, why am I saying this, right? Then there would be an answer there. So when we start becoming more aware of my whys, I can let go of them, right? कि But I don't really want that. मुझे pretend करना नहीं है. But it's so habitual because that's how we have been raised. That's how most of us are like that. So it's not somebody's fault, right? Like we have been conditioned this way. And yet, because now I know, when I didn't know, that was fine. But now I know, so now I can change. Yes?
Perfectly answers the question, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Actually, that is so true. And also, I love the way Josna ji explained her perspective on this. Just my phone turned off, otherwise, I'll listen to the recording later on. Thank you.
Okay, yes. So let's take it up further. So I'll just read this again. Never to try to deceive oneself. Never let any part of the being try to find out a way of convincing the others. Never to explain favorably what one does in order to have an excuse for what one wants to do. Never to close one's eyes when something is unpleasant. Never to let anything pass, telling oneself that is not important, next time it will be better. So I think just taking it again line by line, we were focusing more on deceive, that try to deceive oneself. We have reflected on that because it does no good, right? If I deceive myself, then progress is not possible. I will remain where I am, so nicely deceiving everyone and myself and just staying at that spot where I have been deceiving from. Never let any part of the being try to find out the way of convincing the others, how we fool our own selves, right? I'm doing this because I'm doing that because, like even, Jagan was sharing. So never to explain favorably what one does, right? We are kind of giving excuses for our behavior to ourselves more than others, right? We are always doing it for others, but here we are saying that we are even doing it to us. This is a mirror that is being shown to us. We try to spin things around. We try to give it a positive thing because this is also very important. But we must keep looking at that. That is it? Is it? Never to close one's eyes when something is unpleasant, right? Because then it just keeps hurting, right? We keep finding ourselves in the same situation again and again, and we don't see why it is unpleasant or how can I make it pleasant. I think even yesterday we were discussing that, Rumi, he has this beautiful quote and he says that there's a voice that doesn't use words. Listen. So what am I listening to? And what am I trying to become? So if I'm following, my constrictions, my unpleasantness, and trying to see the roots of it or why is it there, there is a possibility that I might be able to move towards delight or at least neutrality, right? If something is not very pleasant, the first step is maybe neutrality and then maybe delight can come later. So never to let anything pass telling oneself that is not important. Next time it will be better. If I don't do anything about it, then again it would be a lie that next time it will be better, because how would it be better if everything, including myself, remains the same? So if I don't like where I'm going, I might want to shift my boats, right? And what we do is we keep riding in several boats, not two, not three, several boats at one time. Any comments? So this aspect, Josna ji was just sharing that, how it is very difficult. Just try for 1 hour and you will see how very difficult it is. Only 1 hour to be totally, absolutely sincere, to let nothing pass. Each thought, each feeling, each emotion, I'm just not letting it pass. I'm just trying to see the roots. What is the root of the origin? And I think a lot of things that I don't know about myself can be uncovered, if not a lot, at least some, if I see what is and why is it leading me here? Why is this coming? That is all one does, all one feels, all one thinks, all one wants is exclusively the divine. This seems to be really far, maybe, because there's so much more that I am occupied with, that this doesn't seem like something is all I am looking for. Although in big picture, I might say that overall, which is also good. But in my day to day, like, here she's talking about an hour, and Yosna ji was saying 10 minutes also. It's so tough. So again, it's a good experiment. One must try to do it if one feel resonates with this. So at least, by doing this, even if you're not able to do that, at least we know that, our lives get caught. Even knowing that, this is where I go, this is where I'm going. And the same thing I believe happens when, we say that, okay, I am this body and, and stuff. And when we say, okay, 5 minutes, look at your breath. And then we see 102 thoughts coming to us every minute or 2 minutes, then we realize, right? थोड़ी सच्चाई पता चल जाती है कि who's the master of the mind, right? So at least I don't know if something comes out of it other than we recognize our own, I don't know, power, our own mastery over ourselves. I think seeing our own lives is a very important step before they can be transcended or converted or transformation can happen, that at least I know where I am. So it further says, I want nothing but the divine. I think of nothing but the divine. I do nothing but what will lead me to the divine. I love nothing but the divine. Try, just to see, try for half an hour. You will see how difficult it is. This reminds me, my father used to share this story. I think it's in the Upanishads, it's written about Maya. Let's say if you have, I don't know what he used to say, but say if you've had 10 different kind of fruits and you realize that nahi, yahan pe to, delight nahi hai, maine bahut kha liya. So the moment you turn to walk away, Maya grabs you by your neck, by your shoulder and pulls you back. अरे 10 खाए हैं ना, अरे देख मेरे पास 10 और हैं, ये तो खा. It doesn't want to let go of that. It doesn't want you to let go of the 200, 300 desires, some small, some big, some very big, that you're surrounded yourselves with, and they rule your life. In Savitri also, I can't recall very nicely, I'll try to look it up. There were some lines about how we are being puppeted. And we don't even realize that. We say, it's me who's thinking, it's me who's doing, it's I who want that. And I will get completed by that. And yet, to even recognize the robotic nature, the puppetry, I think is a lot of grace.
Ma'am, that last paragraph, can you show that?
Yeah.
So it says, I want nothing but the divine. I think of nothing but the divine. I do nothing but what will lead me to the divine. I love nothing but the divine. So, if I were to cultivate this thought in my head, I think I think I told myself this thing because my father would tell me the same thing. I think this happened. I was told about this 5 years ago. And since the last 5 years, I say to myself, I want nothing but the divine, but it is always about me. It is always about me. It is always about what others think about me? Are they thinking good about me? Because when I say I want nothing but the divine, and when I'm offering it, saying that I am offering it for the divine, and when the answer from there doesn't come in my favor, again I'm offended. Then how is it that I'm offering for the divine? Because if I'm really sincerely offering it for the divine, then um, ma'am, like this habit has been stayed with me for so many years. So in the last 5 years I've been trying to do this, but I have not really been fully successful. So how much practice does this need? Like, I know it's different for every individual, but how much practice does the one need to, like, fully fully be like that?
Jagan, it feels like one is asking कि कितना सच बोलूंगा तो लोग मुझे सच बोलेंगे और झूठा नहीं बोलेंगे, है ना? So the answer is सच ही बोलोगे तो लोग सच्चा बोलेंगे. But because we are so surrounded by so many, I don't know, non-sincerities, that we have to ask this question, right? And yet, if we look at the question we are asking, if you say, look at Meera, राइट, कि मीरा कृष्ण से कितना वो करेगी, जिससे सब बोलेंगे कि अरे मीरा तो कृष्ण की है और कृष्ण मीरा के हैं, राइट? सो दिस डजंट हैव एन आंसर, राइट? इट जस्ट इज, यू जस्ट बिकम दैट. And like you said, what you're discussing is the path towards becoming that. There was this very beautiful, I don't know, I keep forgetting the names now. There was this nun. I'll share it. I have it on my phone. Teresa, Sister Teresa, I think. And in her, biography, in her autobiography, she had written that, while she would be climbing down a step of stairs, she started noticing a small boy while she was coming down. So one day the boy stopped her, while she was coming down, and she said, "Who are you?" And she said, "I am Teresa of Jesus." And then she asked the boy, "And who are you?" He said, "I'm Jesus of Teresa." Right? And then he vanished. So this is what we are talking about, right? And again, there's this beautiful doha also. I again won't remember it, but it's something like this कि, मैंने इतना भज लिया कि अब मैं विश्राम कर रहा हूं, अब राम मेरा मुझे भजे, मैं करूं विश्राम. I don't know if you've heard of this one. I'll again look it up. But once we are, like, in the sense, now if say Meera is fully dedicated to Krishna, now Krishna will take care of Meera. She doesn't need to take care of her. They say, she was given a wish का प्याला. तो उसमें कुछ ये नहीं करा कि मैं इसको कैसे पीऊं, क्या बोल के पीऊं तो मेरे को मैं बच जाऊंगी. She just had it, right? And whoever had to take care of her, if she was needed to be taken care of, would happen. तो जहां तक माइंड का डोमेन चल रहा है ना, कि कैसे करूं, कितना करूं, तो वहां पे तो अभी नाप तोल चल रहे, तो ट्रेडिंग हो रही है ना? और हम ट्रेडिंग की बात नहीं कर रहे हैं, राइट? ट्रेडिंग तो कर ही रहे हैं हर स्पेयर ऑफ लाइफ में. बट अब यहाँ पे बात हो रही है कि अब ट्रेडिंग कर करके थक गया हूं, राइट? नाउ हाउ डू आई मूव बियॉन्ड माई ट्रेडिंग माइंड? So I don't know if that answers your question, but there is no thak, answer. It's just purification that would happen gently, slowly, with more offering, more love. That happens, that has happened. Like you've been saying that 5 years you've been dedicating yourself to this. So have you not seen any changes in 5 years? Like, have you?
If anything, I've come to realization of what is happening in my head when I talk to someone. Like, my mind is not quiet. When I'm saying something, I have a ton of things going on inside my head about that situation. that should not happen for me. I should just have a quiet mind and say what I have to. Because if my mind keeps on processing information as to, okay, what will happen next, what will happen next, what will he say or she say to me next, and it kind of gives me this automated answers to kind of patch up onto the things I've already said. So I can see that my mind has never been quiet. It's never been at peace when I'm talking. Like I'm talking to someone, I just tell him the thing, and then I relax. That doesn't happen for now, but at least I know the cause. So I am now in the I'm now working towards it. But yes, you did answer my question. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, there's this beautiful story, and I think I've shared it often, but I don't know if you've heard it, of Vibhishan from Mahabharata. So the story goes, and these are all legends, we don't know what really happened, but the story goes that when Vibhishan, he joined Ram's camp, when he left Lanka and he came to Ram's camp. In Ram's camp, it was all just, the monkey army and Ramji and stuff. And so they were mostly on, say, palahar, जैसे बोलते हैं. So it is said that while everybody else would be eating on fruits and all, the monkeys, they came from the monkey army, they came to Ramji and they said, Vibhishan is hunting tigers, not tigers, sorry, deers, for example. And imagine कि हम लोगों की कितनी sanctity खराब हो रही है कि in our camp, this is happening. So, it is said that, Ram said, no, it's all fine. You just let it be. Give it some time, give it some time. So then after some time, they came and said, okay, now he's not hunting deers, now he's on rabbits, then birds, then even smaller. And then, maybe some cooked thing. And then finally, after some time, they said, okay, now he's just consuming fruits just like us. So Ramji said, yes, I know. And then they said, how did you know that would happen? So, it's said that he said that, while he was hunting that deer or while he was eating that rabbit, he was crying and saying that I've always lived this way and I don't want to, but I don't know how to stop. Imagine, right? In Lanka, all he had was just probably, right, meat and everything. And now he wants to turn, and yet the force will take some time to stop. But because he kept offering, he kept crying even while eating, the body was eating, right? But there was something inside who didn't want to. So I knew he had to transcend that. So as much light as we can put on our actions, on our thoughts, on our behavior, like you're seeing, you see things now. As much as we can see and keep offering what I see, what I don't like, what I want to shift. It's like, one thing is a big picture. कि हाँ, मैंने तो सोच लिया कि मैं करूँगा. And I feel that is enough. But most of the time, detailed, moment to moment, we are not doing, right? We are not saying कि अरे मैं फिर गिर गया, अरे मैं फिर वहां चला गया, अरे. It has to be more inclusive. It has to be more detailed. Just big picture, which we think is enough, is mostly not enough. And that reminder is not for the gods to help us. That reminder is just ourselves to remind us that I am more and I can do better. But it really helps. जब गिरे तब देखा अरे फिर गिर गए, अरे फिर गिर गए, उठो. So it's, more accountability, less deceit, like we were reading in the passage, would help one in transforming, progressing. And like Mother says, with sincerity, right? The perfect sincerity is what? Is the trait that one needs to develop. Yeah, so for those of us who have joined us late, we were just reading this passage. We just kind of read it, this passage on perfect sincerity. So, yes, inviting reflections. So we still have time. If we are okay, we can start the next passage today. And let's just see how much we can cover. We are in no rush whatsoever. So the next passage is unhappiness and insincerity. So this would throw more light. So if anybody is willing, they can read the full passage and then we'll take up a few lines.
Yeah, Taru, I'll read.
Yes, Ardaji, please. Thank you.
Unhappiness and insincerity. You feel uneasy, very miserable, dejected, a bit unhappy. Things are not quite pleasant today. They are the same as they were yesterday. Yesterday they were marvelous. Today they are not pleasing. Why? Because yesterday you were in a perfect state of surrender, more or less perfect, and today you are not anymore. So, what was so beautiful yesterday is no longer beautiful today. That joy you had within you, that confidence, the assurance that all will be well and the great work will be accomplished, that certitude, all this, you see, has become veiled, has been replaced by a kind of doubt, and yes, by a discontent. Things are not beautiful, the world is nasty, people are not pleasant. It goes sometime to this length. The food is not good. Yesterday it was excellent. It is the same, but today it is not good. This is the barometer. You may immediately tell yourself that an insincerity has crept in somewhere. It is very easy to know. You don't need to be very learned for, as Sri Aurobindo has said in Elements of Yoga, one knows whether one is happy or unhappy. One knows whether one is content or discontented. One does not need to ask oneself, put complicated questions for this. One knows it. Well, it is very simple. The moment you feel unhappy, you may write beneath it, I am not sincere. These two sentences go together. I feel unhappy, I am not sincere. Now, what is it that is wrong? Then one begins to take a look. It is easy to find out. Beautiful. No? Everything, each and every line is beautiful, and it is written for each of us. We can resonate with this. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Sarthak. I'm sorry. What did I do? Yeah, so this thing, especially how it ended, this is one of mother's most popular quotes, right? When it comes that I feel unhappy, I'm not sincere. I think we must reflect on this because I think more and more clarity is needed, but maybe we can just take it from the beginning. Unless anybody has any comments, any reflections right now, I will go over it line by line. But if there's anything, please do unmute. Yeah. Okay. So unhappiness and insincerity. That like how unhappiness or insincerity kind of causes unhappiness. Unhappiness causes more insincerity. That's what I heard. So it says you feel uneasy, very miserable, dejected, a bit unhappy. And all of us go here again and again, and things are not quite pleasant today. They are the same as they were yesterday. Yesterday they were marvelous. Today they are not easy. Why? Mother says, because yesterday you were in a perfect state of surrender, more or less perfect, and today you aren't any. For me, I feel that time and again, there's this doubt that keeps cropping in. Is what happening? Is it okay? Am I doing the right thing? Am I leading the right life? Am I at the right place? Am I with the right people? And whenever I'm doubting, a lot of times, sometimes I feel that a doubt can help trigger something and change can happen. But a lot of times we are just doubting, and I feel that there's something in me which starts enjoying that doubting. But in my doubting, the problem is I just stay where I am. Yeah, I know I have to do nothing. I know this is my path right now. And yet, after some time, after a few days, after a few weeks, depending on my state of mind, this doubt comes and it moves me. It makes me restless. It makes me, कि क्या करूं? Oh, is it okay? Is it okay? Is it okay? And then I know I'll be staying here only doing the same thing. So if the doubt comes, either if I want to get, get over that, let me pick it up, let me sit on it and say, कि अच्छा बार बार आ रहा है. Ab I will not let it go. I will look at it fully. Then there is a possibility, but in me and around me, I see all of us having some or the other things which kind of keeps, pricking at us, that does not allow us to be what we can be fully. It does not allow peace to be. It does not allow faith to be. So I think it's really important if we are fine with it, nothing needs to be done. But if I'm seeing something again and again, it's better to just dissect it fully, no matter how uncomfortable things would be. And they are always uncomfortable, right? Even that deceiving that we read in the last passage. I think one thing we have to admit is that a lot of courage is needed to stand and say that, oh, I'm fooling myself. Oh, acha, acha, I am being my own enemy. Oh, really? Oh, I'm embarrassed, but okay, I admit. So a weak-hearted person, like Kabir Surma, Sri Aurobindo's Aryan is needed to stand, who can stand and say that, yes, now I know, with whatever I know, and try to now offer what we see. So this doubt is, doubt shows there is no faith, right? Doubt shows कि गाड़ी का हैंडल अभी भी स्टेयरिंग व्हील मेरे हाथ में है, मैंने अभी तक दिया नहीं है, and I might say मैंने दे दिया है. So anytime there is this, and that's why I guess the insincerity aspect crops in, that brings about it the unhappiness. So the joy you had within you, that confidence, the assurance that all will be well and the great work will be accomplished, that certitude, all this you see has become veiled and has been replaced by a kind of doubt, and yes, by a discontent. Things are not beautiful, the world is nasty, people are not pleasant. Whenever we see such movements, Mother says we can be assured that we have sidetracked, that something, there's so many hidden forces, so many influences. I have lost track, and maybe where am I missing? Maybe I can go back. Because I do have that assurance, and I also have my doubts. So what am I feeding, right? What am I choosing to believe? Jagan, he was saying that it doesn't stop, right? The mind keeps on talking. But which voice am I listening to? There would be a voice that would be always saying, "Arey, mat jao there, don't go there," right? Just keep it low, keep it low. And there would be 10 voices that would be saying, "Arey, phod denge, hum batayenge ki kaise karna hai." So again, just so at least in the beginning, these voices never stop, but we have to choose who we want to listen to and what we have to ignore. I think it's appropriate to share it here again. We have shared it before, but we keep coming to it, and it's a good reminder. There was this beautiful book, The Beautiful Mind, by, and there was a movie on it. Professor Nash, his life, he had won a Nobel Prize for certain things. Excuse me, I don't remember what, but he used to hallucinate. It's a very beautiful movie. He would see people, and he had a certain set of, two adults and a child that he kept seeing, and he believed them to be real. So the movie goes fast forward, and probably after 40 years, they show him how he's so, old and still working in the, I don't know, Columbia or Harvard, wherever it was. And a person comes from the committee of Nobel Prize to see whether they can even offer it to him. Like, has he lost it, or will he be able to be okay in the ceremony? So the guy comes and he asks him that, do you still see them? Because everybody knows he used to see certain people. And then, the camera cuts to, he looks on his left, and he's sitting on a table with this guy, and he looks on his left, and those people are still standing. After 30, 40 years, the voices in his head, those people are still standing and looking at him with so much, need ke hame dekho. And he says, yes, I see them, but I choose to ignore them. That, I think, that is a very, very, very important thing that we have to do. Uske bina hoga nahi, because it would not stop. It doesn't stop for years and years, and sometimes for lifetimes. So if we are waiting for it to stop, कि वो रुकेगा तो मैं फिर आगे बढ़ूंगा, वो होगा नहीं. मुझे इसके साथ में आगे बढ़ना है, and I have to see what to choose, what to ignore. I seem to be talking so much today. I don't know. No one stop. I'll stop now. Please, any reflections? And it's almost an hour. Even Captain hasn't shared anything today. Captain, are you busy? Are you here fully?
This was about practice. There is an English saying that practice makes a man perfect. So the sadhana is required for any of the thing which we want to practice, and we understood that I have to follow this path. So I read one book that was The Complaint-Free World. In some case, I have told this story. The Complaint-Free World, the one person has written that book. This is the majority of our miseries in our daily life. In everything, so there's not been a complaint. So the person, the writer, he gave a short talk in one of the church, and then he put the proposal. So had certain people who wanted to follow. I know he said the rule is very simple. You have to tie a band in one of the hand, and from that moment, for 21 days, you have to be no complaint. So for 21 days consecutively, you should not see problem anywhere. So if you do that, then you will be the person after 21st day. So there are so many people that started off. But what has happened, the rule also says, the bylaws says that if after one day suddenly you have found some fault, or you have complained yourself unknowingly, then you have to change the band again to the other hand, and your time starts now. So suppose 2 days you have, now it is not 19 days, it will be again 21 days. So like that, the people, those are follower, they started doing this sincerely. And then there are people, they could finish this within 1 month, and somewhere within 6 months, and some of them in 1 year or something like that, various periods, and they were sharing their experiences, what was happening. The process, that was the development. And Aurobindo says that, the purification, it is taking place, but we are not in a position to measure that purification, whether it is taking place or not. But here in this case, since you are purifying, you are not thinking about, not trying to find fault with others or complaining anything of this nature. Whether again, oh, today is very hot, and again the sun is very hot or something. So this becomes a complaint. So again, you have to change the band. Or you are finding fault with others, you're getting annoyed. So again, you have to change the band. So likewise, and all these goes off, then you see that, my God, life is beautiful. Because there is no one to complain. Unnecessarily, we spend 90% of our day of complaints only. And our mind becomes visited, and the mind has got a tremendous speed, maybe the much more speed of light or something. And then you can put this mind into the constructive thing. We can turn it on. So that book really changed me. I was trying to do that, but though I have not done for 20 days, but I saw in the days, it was really a beautiful experience. I try to do every day the same thing, like no complaint. If I can do something, I will do, but I will not complain that this is not done, that is not done. I saw that so much complexities I got rid of, and I can maintain my peace of mind, and every time, and I whatever I like to concentrate, or I want it for my job or something, and all this, I try to concentrate on that. But no complaints, no complaints whatsoever. Then I try to explain that why I'm trying to complain. Again, that past habits are there. Then first of all, put the complaint, and then we'll see. That sort of habit we come in, so to get rid of. So that book was really helping me, and I try to follow. And wherever I get chance, then I share these experiences. That similarly in yoga, I tried to concentrate, but mind is running here and there, and not in a position to do anything of this nature. That is that internal noise. Outside noise, I can stop. I can close the door and windows, and I put some earplug or something and all this. But what about the internal noise? The mind is creating a lot of noise. So there is one Sarada, my wife of Ramakrishna. Then she said that when you are sitting for the yoga or something, you're trying to concentrate, and mind, you will see that mind is running here and there and all this. He said, let it run, and try to see where is it all going and all this. Once then again you try to bring it back, but again it is going off and all. So this process will continue for some time in the initial stages, but a stage will come, and the mind will become silent. Means it will come what you desire. That is the sincerity. Actually, it is also indication of the sincerity. And you are so sincere that you know that I have to bring it back. I have to bring it back, but not forcefully, but tactfully. And you have to let it go first, and then again you have to bring it back. So this habit will form, and progressively we'll be able to do this. I was trying this stunt and I was benefited, so I thought I'll share it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Captain. Every once in a while you share such gems, and I personally really benefited. You had also shared something on eating, how to eat, how to chew. I have really, every time I remember, I thank you that, oh, that extra chew is because of Captain. So yeah, so even the title of the book in itself, it's a good one. That I don't remember. Do not complain, no more complaints. What what was the title, Captain?
It's a complaint-free world.
Complaint free.
Complaint-free world. Even the author is also there. It is available online. The book is available online. And there's a beautiful story in that, because in the US, that honking by car is not permitted. But there is one seashore nearby where one very elderly senior citizen, one lady and one gentleman was staying on the first floor of that building, and they have put a big notice board on the highway side near their house that please honk. So everybody was curious because throughout the state, nowhere it has been given, but why this? Then somebody so curious, he said, let me find out. Naturally, it should be nearby resident and they'll be able to say that who has put this board or something. So there one gentleman, he he took a turn and stopped there the way after following the traffic regulations. And then he inquired. He said there is one couple and they are staying on the first floor. You can go and ask them. So he went and I saw that the lady was bedridden and the husband was still in position to move. And then he was taken inside the lady where she was lying down. And the lady says that every weekend there is a lot of vehicles and all, and she used to go every weekend to that beach. And there the children were playing, and all age group people, they are having picnic and fun, and throughout the day with ballooning, and there's so many other balloon flying and kite flying and things like that, and everybody was very happy and shouting and all this are going on. But it's just now the life has become dull because I'm in that room and there is no noise and things like that. So but I was thinking that if I get at least the honking of the car, then I can reconnect myself with that scene which I had seen for many years. Like I can imagine, that they are going to the beach and they will be enjoying there and it's like that. So that I will be feeling happy for some time. So that is why you have put this board. So so in that, what the writer says that see, though it was prohibited, the honking was prohibited, but here this is genuine case, and she was like requesting people to honk. People may not follow, but he says that if at all, if one person has honked, so my day is made, something like that. So we can purify ourselves the way we want. So that power within us, only thing we have lost the faith and confidence in ourselves. So that is why we're in doubt. And that is why the problem. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Captain. So any experiment that we resonate with, if you want to try it, it's always revelatory. So any last comments before we end? So we'll continue with the same passage next week, but any last reflections, very welcome.
One thing that really helped me to change, however slowly, was daily introspection at night. Before going to bed, 5 to 10 minutes of introspecting on the events of the day and understanding how sincere or insincere or untrue I was on the events that I could remember. Sincerely to myself, because it's your me time, and that I have found, I could speak for myself, was that it definitely made me aware of I am going wrong here. Let me try not to let it happen tomorrow. But then it would repeat and it would repeat. And then when it sort of reiterates again and again and again, and you tell yourself, no, I've done this more than 5 times this week. And then suddenly one fine day you realize that awareness sets into you during the day itself that no, I was telling myself, don't do this. So that introspection did help me a lot. Whether it was insincerity, sincerity, whether I was being true to something to bring about a change, it helped.
I agree with you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Jyotsna ji. Again, it's like you start catching your lies, right? You start catching your patterns. Like you might be doing something for 20 years and you might just say, no, I don't do it. But when you start observing, like you're saying, when you start introspecting, you become conscious of the things that you just keep doing. Yes, Sujata ji, we are leaving it also. So, yes, thank you. Thank you for joining, Sujata. Yeah, so becoming conscious of the movements of these things. Like you said, I've been doing it every day. It's a big step to know. It's courageous to acknowledge, and then just lot of times just seeing it also helps in transferring it, and at times we need to put in more effort. Yeah, anybody else like Sarda ji, Nandini, Ritu, anything on what yes,
even I started writing a diary before going to bed, and whatever Jyotsna ji was saying, I was writing it down, both the good thoughts or bad thoughts or whatever, maybe some sort of self-analysis. So I used to write down in a diary, just for my satisfaction, not to show others or something. And I got a very, very good result. It was really, I know who am I, type, something of this. Thank you.
Yeah, Taru, actually, as Captain said just now, the writing and diary is really, really helpful, as Jyotsna ji also shared when she's introspecting. But I'm writing every day. But when we write, so many things just comes. How many, what, in which moment, how did I react? How I should have reacted, the state of mind, everything comes. It is really beautiful. It is a great help. And our mind becomes very clear, by the time we go to sleep. We are very, very light, feeling very light. As if, we have offered everything to the mother. It gives that feeling. Yeah.
Thank you, Sarda. I think we'll end the session here. And before we end, just taking a last minute to express a sincere gratitude for the ability, the grace to have such sessions to connect, the grace to be able to understand or reflect on these beautiful words that have the potential to expand me, help me in my evolution. And like how we distribute the prasad from a temple, let me share the merit of what I have received today and every day with everybody, because we all have to, I don't know, if one of us is not at peace, none of us will be at peace. So may we all be truly well, truly happy, and truly be peaceful. Yes, thank you so much.